Well, we're getting out of here at 6:30 this morning, just like we're supposed to, on time and ready to go. Don's with us today. I've got a doctor's appointment and he's coming with me. The boys are all dressed and ready for school. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's getting darker and darker quick. Like Don said the other day, I'm not gonna have to wait for winter before it's dark when we're leaving in the morning.
By September, it'll be dark.
Thanks, Donnie.
You're welcome.
That's such good information. I'm sure you are. One of the benefits of getting up so early in the morning, getting to watch beautiful sunrises. How's that coffee this morning, Donnie?
Oh, nectar of God.
Are you allowed to drink that in Ruby?
I didn't ask.
So you were telling me that yesterday afternoon when you picked up the boys, you did what?
I was having such a great time picking up the boys that I decided to extend the trip a little longer, to remind them of their lovely mom and make a side trip. So I stopped and bought gas for the first time in like 6 weeks.
Because you were driving the
Scion.
Yep, Scion XB.
Yep. I have drove it probably once a week, but strictly locals, and over the last 6 weeks or so that has added up to a tank of gas.
Okay, well my van is near empty after that trip over to the water park, but I am waiting to fill it until I really need to. So I haven't filled it since we got Ruby either, but I might have to go put gas in it pretty soon here. Have a good day, Johnny. I love you.
You too, Mom.
All right, bye. Sorry, I forgot the trunk.
Oh.
Open the trunk. Bye.
Bye, buddy. See you this afternoon. Love ya.
Bye.
So we're trying to cut over to my chiropractor this morning, and navigation's taken us through historic Oakwood in Raleigh, which is really pretty houses and such. And Don was commenting that a lot of these houses only have street parking, and that when you only have street parking, then that can make charging your electric car a little bit challenging.
Right.
You know, how do you handle that? You don't have a garage or a carport or something that you can, you know, set up for the charging. So Donnie and I are up here in Durham at West Point on the Eno River. This is an old grist mill that they have open on the weekends that you can tour. It's a nice, really nice park for walking. It has a really cool modernistic bridge over here around the corner. We had a little bit of time in between my morning chiropractor's appointment and my mid-morning appointment up here, so we thought we'd walk around and enjoy the sights. Yep. We've been here before, but this one's a little farther away from the house, and we only come here a couple times a year.
Yep.
Sounds really pretty over here. When they run the mill, obviously this big metal wheel rotates, but it's not operational today. We've had some rain overnight, so the water is moving a little bit today. Oftentimes in the summer, folks wade out in the Eno River here. The boys and I have been out there. It's just a few inches deep at this section, and it moves a little bit, but not too much. The waterfall's to my left a little bit, the dam, but you can't quite see it from this location. Very pretty here. There's the little waterfall, dam, spillway, whatever you want to call it. They're pretty laid back at this particular park. People walk out there, they sit out there. The water's moving, but it's only a few inches. It's really pretty shallow. Turbulence on the right and total calm on the left. So yes, this park is fairly close to Roxborough Road and there's a lot of heavy traffic. We really like this footbridge that they put in. I don't know, I guess it doesn't say what year, but it's a pretty substantial bridge for a park. Donnie and I were admiring this tree and the fruit on it. We'll have to look it back up at home. Not sure. Everything checked out good at the doctor's office for another 6 months, so yep. Very pleased.
Amen.
Relieved. Yep. Always relieved.
I agree.
So Donnie's really cute. When he's got the car at AutoPilot, we come up to the stoplight and he goes, "Come on, car, stop, come on, stop." And you know, we haven't had any issues, not one, with it detecting the car in front of us and stopping, but it's still, you know, that, is it gonna stop? Can we trust it? You know, we are trusting it, but right. Yeah, it's really cute how we talk to the car. That was my main point. We do talk to it to try to just convey that we're expecting it to stop or change lanes or do something.
Right. It's just what it does is we can see the whole picture, that there's cars slowing down. I'm going to have to stop up here at the traffic light. The car doesn't see that and or process that whole scene. It's just looking the 150 feet up in front of you, or whatever the distance is, and calling it done. And so it says, oh, well, I can keep going 50 miles an hour here, and yet, you know, as a human being, the right thing to have done is go on and let off the gas, accelerator at that point, and start slowing down or letting it coast, because you're going to be stopping it just another couple hundred feet up here, right? And it's just, maybe that radar, instead of being good for 250 feet, maybe it needs to look ahead 500 feet. And then it can say, oh, well, wait a minute, there's seems to be something up in the road up there. I don't know. So that's all I'm saying is, so I would have, you know, as a human, I would have lifted off the accelerator and coasted up and then applied the brakes. Well, it's still got the accelerator. We're doing 55 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden it lets off and starts braking. I mean, it's like it's full speed up till the point where it starts braking. Whereas we tend to coast as a human being drivers.
Right, I agree. There still really isn't the concept of coast for AutoPilot. I'll just briefly mention that we just got off of US 1 onto Highway 55, and Don was able to lane change on US 1, and he feels sure previously that right, putting the turn signal on during AutoPilot on US 1, it would not lane change. So maybe that's one of those things that went into the recent software releases that were put on the car, but that wasn't specifically documented. I don't know, but he's really been wanting it to lane change because the car kind of encourages you to stay in the right lane. It slows down for the traffic in front and then it speeds back up. But if you want to get around that slow moving traffic, you've got to get out of traffic aware cruise control or AutoPilot. You've got to put on the turn signal, change the lane yourself, get back over. So the faster the car will say, whoa, there's slow traffic, there's a free lane for me, let me get over there and go around this, the happier Don will be. Me, I'm sort of okay in the right-hand lane. Well, I got Donnie dropped off at home, went inside, took care of all the kitties, patted everybody on the head, and checked on everyone, and now I'm headed back to get the boys from school. We've got a couple of errands to run, Walmart and CVS Pharmacy on the way home when I get the boys' passport pics made. So, anyway, it's not slowing down. It's gonna continue to stay hectic today, but no taekwondo tonight. We're gonna go tomorrow. So far today, Ruby's driven 123 miles and she has 99 miles worth of range left. It's kind of an extra busy driving day for Ruby because we drove from Fuquay into downtown Raleigh, then west over to Durham, then back down to Fuquay, now back into downtown Raleigh, and then back to Fuquay and home again. So plenty of range to do that, but the range will be depleted more at the end of the day than normal driving day for Ruby. So this is one of those days where having the larger battery pack comes in handy. I will, just remind again that we are only charging to 80% of our range overnight to try to keep the car in that sweet, buttery 20 to 80% category. If we know we need to go farther, Don would charge it up past 80% at night, but typically we've only done that a couple times, so typically don't need to do that. So I don't talk about Tesla news too much in my videos because there are a lot of other YouTubers out there that are already talking about it. But occasionally I read something that I find to be particularly interesting, and that would be the case today. There is a new Electrek article out there about AutoPilot 2.5, and it briefly mentions a little bit about what they've done with the Model 3. We know that there's a driver-facing camera in it that isn't available in the S or the X. So there's some, curiosity as to how that'll be used. And also apparently some, talk about the computing power needed for fully autonomous driving versus what the car's doing now. So all of that was really interesting, but the thing that I found most curious was that Elon's still talking about making that cross-country trip from California to New York later this year in December, and the car driving itself the entire way. And wow, I mean, that's a great goal, and I sure hope that that's going to be come true. I sure hope it works. I mean, I'm a fan, and I want him to be able to achieve the goals that he sets for Tesla and autonomous driving and SpaceX goals. I mean, I'm pulling for him, right? But sometimes when I'm driving Ruby, it seems like fully autonomous driving isn't as around the corner as some of these articles hint about, or at least I don't know, because I'm driving AutoPilot. Let's say I go 100 miles a day. I'm probably driving 25 of those miles on AutoPilot, especially now that the boys are in school. There's a large chunk of highway on 401 coming into and out of town where it's a 5-lane divided highway, really wide lanes, primarily straight. Limited stoplights in a few areas, and the car, it does great in AutoPilot 2.0 is what Ruby has. Does great on that stretch of road. When the traffic stops, Ruby stops, and the traffic picks up, Ruby goes, and it's just working well. But there are lots of times where, I would give AutoPilot a try if my experience were that it was actually doing a good job. If it's kicking itself out of AutoPilot because I'm holding onto the wheel, or I'm having to hit the brake, or it doesn't know what to do frequently, the driver doesn't want to keep on having to put it back into AutoPilot all the time. I will, but I don't want to do that non-stop. So for example, I can't drive down Main Street Fuquay, which I do 2, 3, 4 times a day on AutoPilot. And you ask, well, why can't I do that? Well, there's parallel parking on one side of the street, and there's lots of pedestrians crossing in the crosswalk, and there's many cars stopping and trying to parallel park or turning into the parking lot where the Stick Boy Bakery is. Ruby seems to be confused about the extra space over on the right when I'm headed to the house, when I'm headed south on Main Street. So she doesn't do that well. Another area I've noticed is if on a major intersection, if the intersection is really wide and there's no lines that go through the intersection, she fishtails back, she goes back and forth a little bit. Doesn't know what to do there. That new super intersection on Highway 55 in Holly Springs, every time I go through that intersection on AutoPilot, she tries to go to the right. Dawn has experience where she's shifting to the right when we come up over a hill. So, I don't know, when Don and I are in the car, because it's fun, we talk about AutoPilot and how it's working all the time. We're noticing it, and it's fun. And you know, I hope, I guess, that the driving that we're doing is feeding some valuable information back to Tesla so that they can improve it. But I guess I'm just saying that Don and I both sort of feel with how our particular car is currently driving on AutoPilot that it seems like a lofty goal to be able to drive from California to New York, that there are so many things that she still needs to handle better that needs improvement. It's come a long way. Really impressed. Enjoy using it. But so I want Elon to surprise me in December. I want him to be able to reach the goal, and I want him to, you know, go from California to New York and everything to turn out great. And then I hope sooner rather than later some of that additional coding gets released to Ruby, because hey, that would be great, right? I do suppose that he means California to New York on the interstate, and as I said, Ruby performs the best on the interstate, so maybe that's not so much of a stretch. Maybe if he took all of the U.S. highways instead of the interstate system for California to New York, maybe that could be the second trip, right? I mean, that would be a little bit more, although I guess, you know, California to New York is going to have to exit the interstate, make it to the supercharger, get charged up, and, you know, get back on the highway. So we'll see. It's really interesting, I think, to be alive in this point of history and watching the progress being made towards autonomous driving. Maybe someday Joey and Johnny will take it for granted, like, well, of course the car can drive itself to the mall. I don't know, but we'll see. It's sure is fun to watch what it's doing. Afternoon.
Hi.
Hey. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Oh, doing pretty good.
Get a Zapdos?
No, not yet. We'll try on the way home.
So I've been searching far and wide for a gym t-shirt, and they have all these greens. I mean, look. Green over there, green right there, green right there and there. And they don't work.
Yeah, it has to be the green.
This color. This color. And we've been looking around for t-shirts, and
His other options are white and gray, and I told him I don't want white in my wash because you know what happens to white things, so we picked out a gray shirt. We picked out this gray, which I think satisfies the school dark gray requirement. So I'm taking the boys inside to get passport photos. It's about time they had a passport, and just in case they need to travel for school, they'll be ready. So we go into the drugstore, and the nice guy behind the counter, he asks us what he can do to help me, and I said I need to get passport pictures taken for my boys, and he says, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that today, our camera's broken. Really? I mean, first off, have I not been trying to get you and Johnny in the same place to get your passport picture made like the entire summer?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much, because you know a lot of times I'm out and I only have one boy with me, or I forget, or you know, they're not dressed as nice as I'd like them to be, so I finally get them in the one place and then they can't take it. So we're gonna go down the street to another pharmacy. It'll be all right after I take a deep breath. To smile. Joey, stop smiling.
I have to do his first.
Out of the way, Joey. Let Johnny up there.
Okay,
hold on.
Come on, boy. She's not got all day. Really.
I was hoping that as soon as I walked up, you would do it. Hold on, 1 second.
Step up just a little bit. You've got a shadow on the thing, and that'll make it look even grayer. smiling and got your eyes open. Okay.
Did I get my eyes open?
Your eyes were open.
That was the hardest thing I've ever done.
No, it wasn't.
I'm gonna walk over here and get out of the way so I don't do that again. I couldn't help it. Well, we got those passport pictures made, and then we went and played a couple of Pokemon Go Zapdos raids, and we lost. We couldn't beat him, let alone catch him. We didn't have enough people. 6 or 7 people wasn't enough. We don't have enough potions to heal up. It was kind of frustrating. So we're pulling home now. Been 152 miles today. Got a 65 miles worth of range left, no problem. Had a nice conversation with the person at one of the Pokemon Go raids. Said him and his father, wasn't a older guy, but him and his father were looking to get a Tesla, and he really liked seeing the inside of the X and the Falcon Wing doors. They are interested in being able to easily get in and out of the vehicle, which I think the X is definitely the right choice if that's what your interest is. So I enjoyed talking with him. Gonna go cook some dinner and relax tonight. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go relax for a while.